The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare opens with Antonio, a Christian merchant in a depressed state. His friends try to cheer him up, suggesting that perhaps he's worried about his ships at sea. Then, Antonio's dear friend, Bassanio, an aristocrat who's lost all of his money, comes to ask Antonio for a monetary loan so that he, Bassanio, can travel to Belmont to woo a wealthy heiress named Portia. Antonio and Bassanio clearly have a deep and loving friendship. While Antonio cannot give Bassanio the money directly, he offers to use his good credit to get a loan for his friend. Bassanio finds Shylock, a Jewish moneylender, and convinces him to give a loan of 3,000 ducats. In a rather unusual twist, Shylock agrees not to charge the Christian men interest, but instead makes a strange proposal. If Antonio cannot pay back the money, Antonio will give Shylock a pound of his own flesh. Antonio accepts the terms of the contract or the bond. Meanwhile, in Belmont, Portia is melancholy. Her father, now dead, decreed that all of Portia's suitors must partake in a test. The suitors are presented with 3 caskets, one of gold, one of silver, and one of lead. One contains a portrait of Portia within it. The suitor to choose this casket will have permission to marry her. First, the Prince of Morocco comes to woo Portia and picks the gold casket. Inside, he finds a skull symbolizing the way gold hides corruption. The next suitor, the Prince of Aragon, selects the silver casket which bears an inscription stating that it will give a man what he deserves. Inside is a picture of an idiot. Back in Venice, Shylock's daughter Jessica has made a plan to run away with a Christian man, Lorenzo. They plan to escape one night when Shylock will be out. Shylock instructs Jessica to lock the house well, as there will be maskers and music in the street that night. Once he leaves, Lorenzo arrives with 2 friends standing below Jessica's upstairs window. She appears dressed as a boy, tosses a chest of ducats down to them, and then runs away with them. When Shylock discovers that his daughter has run away with his ducats, his devastation overwhelms him. Meanwhile, there are rumors that many of Antonio's ships have sunk or been lost at sea. Shylock begins to revel in the idea that he will exact his pound of flesh from Antonio in revenge for the many insults Antonio has dealt him throughout the years. Meanwhile, Bassanio has arrived in Belmont with his friend, Gratiano. Portia remembers Bassanio as the dashing soldier with whom she fell in love several years earlier. Bassanio selects the lead casket and finds Portia's picture inside. After Portia gives him a ring to seal their engagement, Bassanio receives a letter from Antonio stating he cannot repay Shylock and must forfeit a pound of flesh. Portia tells Bassanio to take 6,000 ducats, twice the original amount owed, and return to Venice where he can pay Shylock and cancel the contract. After Bassanio and Gratiano have left, unbeknownst to them, Nerissa and Portia depart for Venice disguised as men. Jessica and Lorenzo will watch over Belmont while they are gone. Back in Venice, in a court of justice, the Duke pleads with Shylock to forgive the contract and let Antonio go free. Shylock refuses even when Bassanio offers the higher payment. The court then waits for a doctor of the law to arrive. Nerissa enters the court and hands the Duke a letter stating Dr. Bellario has sent an educated young doctor in his place. Portia tries to persuade Shylock to spare Antonio's life through an appeal to mercy. When Shylock won't budge, Portia grants him his pound of flesh. Shylock holds a knife ready to cut into Antonio's breast. Suddenly, Portia stops him. He may have his pound of flesh, she says, but not a single drop of blood, and the flesh must weigh exactly 1 pound. No more and no less, or Venice can confiscate his lands and goods. Shylock, clearly unable to comply, backs down, saying he will accept 3 times the original amount owed to him. But Portia refuses and presses on. In demanding Antonio's flesh, Shylock was prepared to take his life. If any foreigner conspires against the life of a Venetian, half his wealth is to be given to the man against whom he conspired. Duke can have the conspirer put to death. At this point, the Duke pardons Shylock's life, and Antonio tells the court he will forgive the fine of half of Shylock's wealth, provided Shylock converts to Christianity. The money due to Antonio will go to Lorenzo and Jessica after Shylock's death. Shylock has essentially lost everything. After the trial, Bassanio offers Dr. Balthazar, Portia in disguise, for his good work anything he desires. Portia asks him for the ring, and Antonio convinces Bassanio to give it to her. Likewise, Nerissa, dressed as Balthazar's clerk, requests and receives her ring from Gratiano. Portia and Nerissa return to Belmont dressed as themselves. Bassanio and Gratiano arrive soon after. Portia asks Bassanio about the ring, which he gave away. When Portia finally reveals the ring to Bassanio, he is shocked to see it is the same ring he gave Balthazar. Portia and Nerissa then tell the truth about Balthazar and his clerk. The play ends with the three happy couples going to bed: Lorenzo and Jessica, Nerissa and Graciano, as well as Portia and Bassanio. Still, Antonio remains outside the circle of married friends. And of course, back in Venice, Shylock has been undone completely. This is The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to comment with which novel you'd like to hear next. For more stories, follow me here.